The world is holding its breath tonight as a new front opens in the US-China economic conflict. Beijing has just announced a staggering 75% tariff on all US electric vehicles, a move that could send shockwaves through the global economy. This isn't just about cars, it's about power, competition, and the future of global manufacturing. The decision, made on October 12, 2025, is China's most aggressive trade action in nearly a decade, directly responding to recent US policies targeting China's clean energy dominance. For American automakers, this could mean being locked out of the world's largest auto market, threatening billions in investments and thousands of jobs. The ripple effects could disrupt fragile global supply chains and force other countries to choose sides, risking a domino effect of tariffs across industries. The stakes have never been higher. Tonight, we break down what this means for businesses, consumers, and the future of international trade. We'll explore the history, the immediate fallout, and the long-term consequences of this escalating trade war. The economic landscape is shifting beneath our feet, and the aftershocks will be felt for years to come. This trade dispute is the result of years of growing friction between Washington and Beijing. After China joined the WTO in the early 2000s, US companies flocked to China, but by the late 2010s, tensions rose over intellectual property theft and unfair subsidies. The first major trade war erupted, with both sides imposing billions in tariffs, but core issues remained unresolved. The electric vehicle industry soon became the new battleground, as both nations raced for dominance in green technology. China built a vast EV ecosystem, while the US tried to keep pace with innovators like Tesla and legacy automakers. Tariffs and counter-tariffs became the norm, creating a climate of uncertainty for businesses on both sides. This history set the stage for today's escalation. Both governments have shown they're willing to use economic weapons to protect national interests. The result, a political environment primed for strong retaliatory responses. Today's dramatic move was not a surprise, it was almost inevitable. The long, troubled history of US-China trade has led us here. What triggered China's dramatic response? The answer: the Clean Energy Fair Competition Act, signed into US law just last month. This act bans Chinese-made battery components in any EV that qualifies for federal tax credits, a direct hit to China's dominance in battery technology. US officials called it a step to secure America's clean energy future and reduce reliance on a strategic rival. The White House declared, "American innovation must be powered by American manufacturing." China's reaction was swift and furious, condemning the act as blatant protectionism and a violation of trade norms. The Chinese Foreign Ministry warned, the United States has chosen confrontation, they must be prepared to bear the consequences. The new law, effective this month, essentially cuts Chinese battery suppliers out of the lucrative US EV market. For Beijing, this was more than economics, it was a political affront. The rapid escalation, from US legislation to China's tariff, shows just how quickly trade tensions can explode. The fuse was lit by the Fair Competition Act. China's tariff is the explosion. The world is now watching the fallout. The stage is set for a high-stakes standoff. On October 12, 2025, China struck back. The Ministry of Commerce announced a 75% tariff on all US-made electric vehicles, effective November 1st. Combined with existing duties, this nearly doubles the price of American EVs in China, effectively shutting them out of the market. The move was delivered in a high-profile primetime broadcast, with Beijing framing it as a necessary response to US bullying. The message: if you target our core industries, we'll target yours. Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid are now priced out, unable to compete with domestic Chinese brands or foreign automakers that manufacture locally. The symbolism is clear. This is not just about trade, but about national pride and technological leadership. By targeting a high-profile industry, China is sending a warning. It will not absorb US restrictions without inflicting pain in return. The precedent is dangerous, pushing both economies closer to a full-blown trade war. The global auto market is the first major casualty. The impact on the American auto industry is immediate and severe. China is the largest auto market in the world, and US automakers have invested billions to gain a foothold there. The new tariff slams the door on their export strategies, threatening a crucial revenue stream overnight. For American workers, this could mean reduced shifts, hiring freezes, or even layoffs, especially in states with new EV factories. the entire supply chain from parts suppliers to assembly plants will feel the squeeze. The promise of green jobs is now under threat. Politically, the U.S. administration faces pressure from all sides, blamed for provoking retaliation or for not protecting American jobs. Automakers and unions will lobby for government support, forcing tough choices, escalate further, or back down. For consumers, the effects may be less direct, but higher costs for components and vehicles are likely. The dream of affordable EVs for all is slipping away as the world's two largest economies lock horns. The stakes for American industry and workers couldn't be higher. In China, the tariff is being portrayed as a bold defense of national sovereignty. State media frames it as standing up to American pressure, rallying public support. Economically, the impact on China is minimal. American EVs are a small slice of the market, and domestic brands like BYD and NIO are ready to fill the gap. The tariff acts as a protectionist wall, boosting China's homegrown champions. But there are risks. Removing foreign competition could slow innovation, and wealthy consumers may miss American brands. More importantly, this aggressive stance could spook foreign investors, making them wary of sudden market closures. Beijing is betting that the US needs China's market more than China needs imported American cars. With a dominant EV supply chain and a massive domestic market, China believes it holds the upper hand. The tariff is a tool to force the US back to the negotiating table, on China's terms. It's a calculated gamble for long-term technological leadership. To understand what's next, we spoke with Dr. Evelyn Reed, trade expert at the Global Economic Institute. Dr. Reed, this isn't like past trade disputes, it's a direct conflict over the industries of the future. Technology, not just commodities, the biggest risk. Spillover. The conflict could quickly spread to semiconductors, pharmaceuticals, or agriculture. Dr. Reed, both sides will look for sectors where they can inflict pain while minimizing self-damage. This tit-for-tat cycle is hard to stop. De-escalation will require high-level diplomacy, but neither side wants to look weak. Dr. Reed, the most likely outcome is a tense stalemate, with tariffs becoming the new normal and global markets fracturing. In the long run, Dr. Reed sees the world splitting into two economic blocks, one led by the US and allies, the other by China. This is the end of the old era of globalization. Companies and countries will be forced to choose sides. And the global economy will become less efficient and costs will rise. Dr. Reed, that's the price of this new trade war. The world is entering uncharted territory. The choices made now will shape the next era of global commerce. The stakes are nothing less than the future of the world economy. The US-China trade war is sending shockwaves worldwide. Major auto powers like Germany, Japan, and South Korea are caught in the middle, with deep ties to both markets. Their companies must walk a tightrope, balancing relations with Washington and access to China. The US may pressure allies to adopt similar restrictions, while China rewards neutrality and punishes opposition. This could fracture traditional alliances and create new economic blocs. The conflict will accelerate the regionalization of supply chains. Companies will build separate systems for East and West. This decoupling is costly and inefficient, driving up prices for consumers everywhere. Developing nations may benefit as neutral manufacturing hubs, but a global slowdown could hurt commodity exporters. The era of cheap, hyper-efficient global manufacturing is ending. The world must adapt to a new, divided economic order. Tonight, the global economic order has been shaken. China's 75% tariff on US EVs is a bold line in the sand, signaling a new confrontational phase between the world's two superpowers. The immediate fallout will hit automakers and workers, but the long-term consequences will ripple across the globe. The path forward is uncertain. Will this force negotiations or trigger a cycle of retaliation and economic downturn? The stakes involve not just profits and pride, but the livelihoods of millions and the stability of the global system. Understanding these issues is more important than ever. Trade and technology debates have a direct impact on our jobs, communities, and future. The story is far from over. We'll continue to bring you the facts and analysis you need. The choices made now will determine whether we move toward greater conflict or find a new way to coexist. Stay informed as we cover this critical turning point in global history.